Here's what we've been betting all day. Let me give you some NBA real quick as well. 5-11 over 230, 1.5, Indiana and Philadelphia. And then 214 under 216, 215.5, 215 Boston and Miami. Some college basketball for you. 869, forgive me. Boise State +2 and money line. 842 under 165.5, Toledo Akron. 810 George Mason -2.5. 867 over 157, Cal Poly UC Irvine. 812 under 143.5, St. Joe's and Dayton. 862 Utah Valley -2.5. And here's a Southwest Athletic Conference play as well. 306 524 under 143.5 in Bethune Cookman. And a prop for you prop lovers out there in the Texas-Tennessee game. We bet Jordan Pope to go under 1.5 3-point field goals, under 1.5 3-point field goals, good up to -150. Now, I placed about 15 more bets than what I just shared, but I don't want to overwhelm you with the volume. Come on over to the steam room. That goes off at 1:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to go through each and every college basketball game. I'm going to go through the NBA. We're going to even take a peek at the NHL. And more importantly, we're also going to cover the UFC and prepare for Tuesday's first class in the Blackjack Seminar. So a lot going on in the steam room today.
Well, you talk about that Florida offense. It's number 4 on the country. If you look at the metrics for the past 3 weeks, they're still a top 10, and they play very fast at number 50. Missouri, their numbers for the last 3 weeks, their offense is actually number 12. So very efficient. Their defense, though, is horrific. Number 215 out of the 360-plus college basketball teams. They play to a top 70 tempo as well. While I originally thought I might like Missouri here, there's one major issue keeping me off of it. Missouri did beat Mississippi State last night, 85-73. But their leading scorer, Mark Mitchell, got hurt in the first half. He sat out the rest of the first half. He sat out the second half, and we have no update on him. So to me, unless you know Mark Mitchell is going to go, it's either Florida or pass in this game. If you're watching the game or you have some updated Tigers information and Mitchell's going to go and he's 100% healthy, I would lean the Tigers. But Prez, for this show, I'm going to go Florida team total over 86.5. Now, you talked about their scoring efficiency, and this is a very high total, 162. When I went to the database, when you looked at conference tournament totals of 161 or higher, they have actually gone 15-6, 71.4%. So a very small sample size with this high of a total, but they have gone to the over. When you look at Florida in the 9 games when they had a total over 157, one game didn't go over. That was a 38-point favorite where they pulled all their subs. But in the other 7 games with a high total, they have topped 87 points in every game, and they have averaged 91.1 points per game. I think there's value with this. Florida team total over 86.5. Missouri with Gates will keep the tempo up. And a defense that's horrific. The Gators pull away again. Slight lean Missouri if Mitchell healthy. Lean Florida if he is out. And team total, best bet on the Florida Gators. Well, you look at Texas Tech, and really they've played as well as anyone. Going back to January 14th, they have 3 losses. A loss to Arizona on the road, not a bad loss to a top 20 team. A loss to TCU on the road, that was their only bad loss in the stretch, going all the way back to January. And then they lost to Houston at home by 8. Again, Houston is the number 1 seed, so nothing wrong with that. I do like Grant McCasland. He started at Arkansas State, went to North Texas. In 2022, he got him into the tournament. They won the play-in game. They lost to Virginia in overtime. The next year, they didn't make the tournament, but they actually won the NIT. So this is the second year now here at Texas Tech for McCasland. Last year, they lost to NC State. Now they're in their second season. They understand his defensive presence. They know how to play the offense, and they have a very efficient offense. When I look at the metrics for the last 3 weeks, Prez, Texas Tech is actually the number 2 team in the country behind Duke. An offense that is top 5, a defense that is top 35. Arizona is the number 35 team, 13 on offense, 162 on defense. And Texas Tech you look at these two games, and there's certainly a correlated parlay on who you like. The first game, when it was in Arizona, that score was 70-54. Arizona at home controlled the tempo and were able to get 20-plus fast break points. In the rematch, we see that they really, in the first, at home for Texas Tech, they really bogged down the pace. The score was in the 124 total points. And with Arizona, you always have to worry on their point guard. I mean, for Caleb Love, he can be so good and he can be so bad. When he's playing a slower paced team, it seems that he struggles with his pace, struggles with his tempos, and turns the ball over more. I did not get to the window with this, Prez, but I have a clear lean with Texas Tech. The way they're playing, coach in the second season, the better offense, the better defense, with the top player in Arizona being very inconsistent. Red Raiders for me in the Big 12 matchup. Well, I lean Clemson, but I am going to go team total again here. I will say this. The teams are not as good as their records, Prez. The ACC is so down this year. When you look at the ACC's body of work, they only have 4 teams in the top 40 in defense. That is horrific. I mean, the Mountain West is probably better than the ACC if you took Duke out of the equation. So while they're both 18-2 in conference play, those records aren't as good. Clemson clearly has played better down the stretch. You don't know that because of the records, but if you look at the way Clemson has played versus their opponents, they come in as a quite a bit higher efficiency ranking, number 18 versus number 60 over the last few weeks. But I'm going to do this, Prez. I am going to go best bet UL team total under 70.5. The Clemson defense, the last 5 games they played, they held their opponents to 42%. In the last 12 games the Clemson Tigers have played, no team has topped 45% shooting. As I said, there's only 4 defenses in the ACC in the top 50. They are Duke, Wake Forest, and these 2 teams. But when you look at current performance, Clemson, year-to-date, is number 17 on defense. The last 3 weeks, they're also number 17. Louisville, year-to-date, number 23 on defense. Louisville's defense, the last 3 weeks, number 62. They've also slowed their tempo down quite a bit the last few weeks, and we have a Clemson team that's very slow tempo as well at number 275 down the stretch. UL did score 74 points versus Clemson in the first meeting, but that was at home where they can control the tempo. In this neutral setting, they won't be able to control the tempo. They had 65 points against Duke in their other top 50 matchup in the ACC. It's going to be a lower scoring game. Clemson holds Louisville to under 70.5 points.
Cal Poly is a team that started 7-10 in conference play. They reeled off 5 wins in a row. And not only that, and they shot 51% during that 5-game run, 46% from beyond the 3-point line, and 82% from the free throw line. Actually, over their last 7 games, Cal Poly's averaging 90.1 points per game and shooting 50% from the field. They're number 1 in the Big West, in Big West action, I should say, when it comes to playing a fast offensive tempo. So they play at the highest tempo offensively of any team during Big West Conference play, to clarify that. They're 11-4 over the total this year in away or neutral site games when the total's between 150 and 159.5. Irvine's not too bad himself offensively, Prez. Over the last 5, averaging 81 points per game, shooting 51% from the field, and an extremely superb 82.4% from the free throw line. Irvine, again, in that parameter that I just mentioned with Cal Poly, between 150 and 159.5. If it's an away or neutral site game like today is, they've gone 4-0 to the over this year. within that parameter. And also 2 games versus Kel'El this year. They won 98-89 and 101-71. So those were 2 high-scoring games. This total only 158.5. Usually I would say that this is a trap, but I just can't go there. The way both of these teams are shooting the ball and scoring. 57 free throw attempts in those 2 games for Kel'El. They hit 91% of those. Just unfathomable. And, I don't see them hitting 90% of their free throws again today. But they do shoot over 80% for the season, Prez, and I do see their free throw attempts to be right up there again. I'm going to go Kel'El, UC Irvine over 158.5. Well, I'm going to go against what conventional thinking might perceive this to be. I mean, you mentioned those 2 high-scoring games during regular season action, and certainly this total is justified, as you pretty much indicated, Prez. And the totals in those 2 games were 181 and 179.5. So it's not like they've moved this considerably, meaning the total, because of those high scoring affairs. It's, in my mind, you got a total this high. You're in a tournament environment on a neutral floor. I'm confident it will still be a high scoring game, but not to the point where it's going to exceed 180 points or more. First 2 meetings, these teams went a combined 82 for 101 from the free throw line, 81%. That ain't happening tonight. Why am I so confident about that, Prez? Simply put, Kentucky is only 74.2% from the free throw line on the season, and Alabama 72%. So these teams shot way over their head from the free throw line, and there was a plethora of free throws in those 2 games. I think we'll still see a very physical game with a lot of free throws. I think it'd be more along the lines of the low 70s to maybe mid 70s when it comes to free throw percentage tonight, based on these teams' season figures. Prez, we've been doing this a long time, me and you, and when a total is this high in a tournament game on a neutral floor, all it takes is a 3 to 4 minute offensive lull that pretty much kills the over. And that's not out of the question in this game tonight. I am going to go against conventional wisdom here, and I'm going Kentucky and Bama under the total of 179.5. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, how they struggled at the end of the regular season, because Purdue did play yesterday. They were, less than impressive in a 76-71 win over USC, a game they never led by more than 6 points. But I think Purdue playing in their second tournament game versus a Michigan team that had a bye yesterday is going to serve Purdue well, because a team like Michigan coming into their first tournament game against a team that's already played a tournament game and they struggled down the stretch, I think they're going to be a little bit tight in this situation. The Wolverines, by the way, 0-4 against the spread and 1-3 straight up in their last 4 games. Their only win in that sequence was by 2 against a Rutgers team that leaves a lot to be desired, and they didn't come close to covering that game as a 10-point favorite. Michigan really struggles over their last 5 games offensively, just 66 points per game, 42% shooting, and an abysmal 22% from beyond the 3-point line. With Purdue over their last 5 games, 78 points scored per game, 50% shooting, and a terrific 43.5% from beyond the 3-point arc. In the USC win yesterday, they shot 39% from 3. Purdue during Big Ten play is number 1 in offensive efficiency, number 1 in 3-point shooting. I just think this is a good spot for the Boilermakers. If they're I had -3. But if they're down to 2.5, certainly take the 2.5. It's more to our advantage. As a matter of fact, at 2.5, I would entertain using the money line as well, Prez, in this game. I would prefer to use the money line rather than lay 2.5. So Purdue, either -3, or if you can get 2.5 and a lower, a money line of maybe 145 or less, I would use the money line with Purdue here against Michigan.
Let's take 2 fights that are not going to go the distance. We'll go to the main event. Vettori and Leeds. Marvin Vettori, Prez, 14 out of his last 15 fights have gone the distance. He is a decision machine. He doesn't finish guys, and he's got just a granite chin. This is a rematch. These guys have fought before. It went the distance. Delidze, he's got one finish in his last 4 fights, and that was because of his opponent had a hurt rib and quit after the first round. So I just don't think that that we're gonna see a finish over 5 rounds. And then we'll go to the women's fight, Luciano and Sam Hughes. Sam Hughes, 7 out of her last 8 fights have gone the distance. Luciano, last 3 fights have gone the distance. And to be honest, neither of these women are power punchers or great submission artists. So I think we're getting a great price here at minus 130 on the UFC Peaceful Parlay today. Let's take Kel'El Ware under half a made 3. So we're just going to take him to not make a 3. Move over Contavious Caldwell-Pope. There's a new worst 3-point shooter right now. Prez, he's gone 14 out of 15 games with.
Did you win yesterday's KCP?
No, he made 2. So we're off of the KCP. Hey, we made a lot of money fading him. So when the streak is over, you just kind of let it die, and we move on to the next one. This guy's gone 14 out of 15 games without making a 3. He is 2 for 22 in those 15 games. And last game, he only played 18 minutes, and he didn't even attempt a 3-point shot. There's a Miami Heat team that's not playing very well. So he is absolutely ice cold from 3. So we'll take him to not make a 3-pointer tonight.
Agree. Carolina, they're minus 250 against the Detroit Red Wings. And man, this Detroit team is in dire need of a run. They did finally get off the snide after losing 6 straight. They beat Buffalo 7-3. And yeah, okay, that's a win, but not much of an accomplishment. With that said, I kind of like them tonight at plus 230. This is one of those angles where you had a team that lost 6 straight and then they won one, and it's like, I get it. Carolina's one of the best teams in all of hockey. I understand. They've also beat Detroit 5 in a row, but they've won 5 games in a row. They're due for a loss. Detroit is due for a little bit of a winning streak, and I think Carolina might overlook this Detroit team at plus 220, 230. There's a lot of value on the Detroit Red Wings. I love Edmonton tonight against the New York Islanders, guys. This Edmonton team has lost 2 straight, but they outshot both of their opponents, and they dominated the game last night against the New York Islanders. This is a team that's been reeling literally since the Four Nations Cup. They're playing a bad New York Islanders team who can't get out of their own way. I think Edmonton gets it done, and I love the under in Winnipeg and Dallas. Look to take Winnipeg under moving forward from now on. I understand Dallas is an over team right now, but this is going to be a tight checking, high intensity hockey game. Colorado in regulation. I think Calgary is a bet against team moving forward. I know that's a big number, but I think Colorado gets it done. I like the over in the Nashville-Anaheim game. We were on the over in the Anaheim-Utah game a few nights ago, and we did lose that. But I think we're going to see Anaheim put up some points tonight. And Nashville is scoring finally. Hallelujah. They put up 3, 3, 5, and 6. This is a 6 on tap. I like over the total. And in the Utah-San Jose game, Seattle game, I like Utah in regulation. I would not take them minus 150. I think the value is in regulation. That's it for every game on the board. I do have one client play up tonight for you guys.